YouTube, happy fabulous feel good Friday. Got so many good things to share with you today, so well done for tuning in. If you're joining me live, lovely to have you here. I am beaming to you from my home in the West Country. Beautiful day. Hopefully no connectivity issues today because there are not so many clouds in the sky, so let's hope that works. Don't forget, I am live on 2 platforms currently, and I think on Wednesday we learned the value of that because Instagram went down. Really sorry, we kept trying, didn't we? But it meant that a lot of you were able to hop onto the Earle Wellbeing Facebook page where I'm also live, and then at the end of the broadcast I do upload the Facebook format because it's the right format, it goes that way, onto YouTube. So that's, I know a lot of you catch up later on YouTube, so if you're watching me on YouTube, it's really nice to have your company, and we do put all the links below. You can find them, the URLs, you can find links on Earle Wellbeing. Happy Friday to everybody who is new. I know I picked up lots of new followers along the way. So the way it works is these broadcasts are live, but then I put the Instagram one onto IGTV, and I can't do links, unfortunately, on Instagram, but if you go to my bio, you'll see a little blue line that says Linktree. If you click on that, all the links are there, hopefully for the podcast and the discount codes and everything that I talk about. All else fails, please go to lizarwellbeing.com. And for Facebook, you guys, you've got the gold standard, haven't you? Because we can link on Facebook. And today we have Amy in the house. Hi, Amy. Hope you are well, my lovely. Amy is my digital editor at Earle Wellbeing, and so she is manning Facebook, and hopefully the things that I talk about magically appear on Facebook as links, just to make it easy, and that's clickable, and of course you can go back and check on that. So I know a lot of you like to chat on Instagram and be part of our community here, which is nice to see all the live chat going on, but then if you want to head to Facebook later to actually just click the links because it's easy, then that might be the way to do it. So today I am going to be talking about so many things for well-being, and just to say that if any of you are new and you haven't yet subscribed to my newsletter, you have got a few hours left today. Oh, thank you. I'll tell you about the dress in a minute, Victoria. To do that, because my Earle Wellbeing newsletter, which is completely free, it just goes out to subscribers every Friday afternoon. And Amy, who's in charge of it, she presses that go button at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so that's the time to check your inbox. Now, if it hasn't arrived for some reason, do check your spam. Heaven forbid we should end up in spam, but you know, you never know. These filters are quite strong these days. And if you would like to receive it, just make sure that you go to lizarwellbeing.com, sign up. It's totally free. We promise never to share your data or spam you or, you know, do anything untoward like that. It's purely a free resource, and it backs up a lot of the things that I talk about during the week. So, for example, it'll give you links to podcasts. It might talk about new recipes. This week I've been talking about low sugar, and I've got a really brilliant piece going out that'll be in the newsletter this afternoon with Dr. Asim Malhotra, who is an NHS-trained cardiologist, award-winning cardiologist, who's been in the news recently talking about low sugar and how that can help our immune system, in particularly in relation to COVID. So very interesting stuff. So do get on that list if you want to get today's newsletter. Now, in other news, this time last week, I think it was Friday, I launched a brand new probiotic, British family-run probiotic brand, which I've been learning more about over the last week or so. This is the one that I've been taking. You might have seen it on my Instagram stories today. It's called BioLive Revive. You can see that the tide has gone down in my bottle where I've been having my spoonful every morning. I really like it. I've been doing quite a lot of research into the 15 different strains. They've got lactobacillus and bifidus bacteria in here, and I think it's a winner. So thank you very much, Microbes, for sending this to me and giving us all a 20% discount. That's a Liz Loves discount, all in capitals, on their website, and you can find links in the usual places. But yes, I think it's very interesting, and actually I'd like to come back and talk to these guys again, because having a snoop around their website, I actually found other things that they do, and this was really interesting. This is a probiotic multi-surface cleaner. Isn't that fascinating? And it's very eco, because you get your pump, and then what you do to make it is you get a sachet of concentrated probiotic liquid and you mix it with water, and that creates your spray. Isn't that genius? Love that idea. So I'm going to be giving that a try, see how I get on with that. And then the other thing that I'm really interested in, which I'm going to talk about next week, is about oral microbiome. You know, the more we learn about the microbiome and good gut health and all of that, the more we realise that every bit of us has its own microbiome, whether it's our skin or our gut or our mouth. And there's really, we need to take care with using products in our mouths. That's why I don't use antiseptic mouthwash, for example, because you're killing off the good beneficial microbes in our mouths. And we know that there are certain microbes, for example, in our gums that can lead to preventing heart disease, which sounds strange, but it seems to be true. So anyway, I'm doing more research on that. So there's just not enough hours in the day, are there? Anyway, these I've got from the Microbes website, and there is a toothpaste, a natural toothpaste, which has an alkaline pH value, and also one that's homeopathic compatible, so if that's of interest to you. So again, they've given us 20% off everything at the moment. So if you want to have a look around this weekend, they are Microbes, which is MICROBZ. .co.uk, and I chatted to the founder's daughter, who's helping to run the family business, and they're based not far from me. Actually, they're down in the West Country, but I was really super impressed. So thank you very much for sending me that to talk about. Now today I'm going to talk about something that is free, that is easy, that we can all do, and that will help all of us, young and old. And I'm talking about breathing. There's lots of talk in the wellness space at the moment about breath work, but more fundamentally, how we breathe can affect how we recover from certain diseases. And I was lucky enough to connect with my own physio, who's an amazing lady called Elizabeth Cordle. And she set up an app, and I talked about this last year, and there was a great response. You loved it when I did my live with her last year. She has an app called Corefulness. So core, as in our core here, C-O-R-E, Corefulness. And she's got a website. And she's put amazing videos and help out there because she got COVID back in the early days. So it must be nearly a year ago now. And while she was recovering, she did lots of physio exercises and she put them on YouTube, and they were really popular. So she's now kind of reworking that. And I saw her recently because I was having an issue with my shoulder. And she reminded me about a lot of this stuff, and I said, look, Libby, it would be great if you could come back on and chat to us all again, because you know so much, and having worked in intensive care in hospitals as a hospital physio, you know, she's very well up on all of this, and what she says is safe and properly trained and all the rest of it. Sorry, I was going to tell you about my dress, wasn't I, Victoria? Okay, so you may have seen my Instagram yesterday when I posted a really favourite old skirt of mine, but it's gone out of stock and it's kind of, you know, it's not there anymore. And I thought it would be nice to wear something current, because I know you do like to know what I wear. And anyway, so I found this for your delectation. It's Marks and Spencer's, and it was, I think it was £39, and it's made of sustainable viscose, which comes from wood tree pulp, has a nice deep neck, which I like, as you know, and it has a little nipped in gathery waist, which is also quite nice, but it's elasticated, so we can eat a few pies and not worry too much. Best of all, guess what it has? Guess, go on, guess. Look, it has pockets. So it's definitely a keeper. And Amy, I think you've got a link for Facebook, just in case anybody's interested. They seem to have all the size when I ordered it. But anyway, just to let you know, I thought it'd be quite fun to share a bit of that Fashion Friday. Anyway, let us just see if Libby is in the house, or if I can, request her Corefulness. Hopefully this will work. This is obviously a lot of the time when we have technical issues, when we try and go live, but hopefully this time round it will work. It says waiting for Corefulness. So Libby, I hope that you're there. I was thinking actually maybe later on I might try and patch in Borella, my lovely daughter, who is in her uni house at the moment, who I haven't spoken to for ages, but I wanted to catch up with her about something, and I thought, you know what, I might try and do it on my lives. Why not? Because I know she'd be lovely to see her again, and a lot of you enjoyed saying hi to her. I'm not sure if she's taken that hat off yet, but I know she went back to uni with it. Right. Love the dress. Yeah, thanks, Jane. Yeah, I was really pleased, actually. I thought it was a good deal. And I think the nice thing about animal prints is that they just never seem to go out of style. You know, I remember my very first sort of leopard print skirt I got when I was working for Molton Brown. So that is nearly 40 years ago. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, to think that? And it was a really lovely, I think he was Turkish designer called Rifat Ozbek. You might remember him, those of you old enough. He was just such a rising star, and I saved up one of my first ever pay packets. I bought this skirt from Rifat Ozbek, and it was kind of very similar print to this, just really simple. I think it was on elastic waistband, kind of ankle grazing, just great. And I just wore it to death till it kind of fell apart. Right, I'm going to try again with, oh, Brella, you're there, sweetheart. I'm just going to see if I can get Libby first. Libby, you might have to request to rejoin me, my love. Otherwise, I might catch up with Brella first and then come back to you. But let's just see. Let's just see whether we can get Libby. Oh, there's Libby. I think I might have to join you as Libby rather than as Corefulness, but let's see. Hey, Brella. Brella's in the house. Nice. Yeah, I am going to make some more granola for Brella. Hi, Libby. I'm glad we got it to work. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm extremely well. I mean, considering how rubbish everything is.
Yes.
And how I am just, I mean, I looked at my hair in the mirror just before I started. I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't even done my hair, you know. And homeschooling and everything, I'm just going, ah! But so considering all of that, I'm actually feeling pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Yes, very well, thank you. Yes,
so you've been working all the way through, haven't you? Because as a physio, you're allowed to carry on.
Yes, we reopened again in end of May, and yeah, we've been absolutely frantic. I think the NHS obviously hasn't got any outpatient services, so they're coming to the private physiotherapists, which is good. We're able to keep people going. They can't have their hip operations and their knee operations and things, but yeah, we've been full PPE and seeing people, which is good.
Yeah. So why are the hospital physios not working then? Why are they not able to see people?
They are working. They're just helping on the wards. They're just not. The outpatient departments are not open.
Okay.
They're not able to see people, and they can see people on telephone conversations. So I think they're all working incredibly hard, but they just can't see people face to face.
Got you.
So yeah. So
and now your background, you've worked in hospitals, haven't you? So you've worked on the front line.
Yes, I qualified in 1998. I did 2 years at King's College Hospital when I worked in intensive care, as you said, respiratory, neurophysio, and then went down to St George's Hospital in Tooting for a couple of years, and then decided to pursue my career privately, so into musculoskeletal rehabilitation and so forth. So yeah.
And you are great, and I love what you're doing with Corefulness, which in fact you started before the pandemic, didn't you? This was a really key thing for you long before lockdown.
Yes, absolutely. The first website launched just under 2 years ago, and then we've recently, a year ago, had it all revamped. So that's all looking good. But basically, the first thing with Corefulness was to try and get a free rehabilitation program, a 6-week core strengthening program that everybody can access. Having been very lucky working in London with top rehabilitation specialists, I really felt that a very simple program, starting people from the absolute basics and getting them to build up and get going, is so important. And a lot of people don't have access to this sort of information.
Yeah, you're so right. There's a lot of chat, actually. I'm sorry, Facebook, you can't see the chat that's going on Instagram. A lot of people saying they've downloaded your app and that they are really loving it. They're seeing such a difference in these simple exercises. Tell us, what are the first principles when somebody comes to Corefulness? What are the kind of first rules that they'll be given to do?
Absolutely. So, and unfortunately, it's not yet an app. It's all on the website.
All online, okay.
Yeah. But basically, through my work the last 22 years, we have muscles that move us and muscles that stabilise us. And if we can get the stability muscles working, then the movement muscles can work efficiently. And through my work, there are 4 key stabilising muscles. One in the shoulder, which connects the arm to the spine. The glute medius muscle, which connects basically the leg to the hip, the pelvic floor, which connects the pelvis to the low back, and the inner quadriceps connecting the leg to the the knee, to the hip. So by working these 4 key muscles, initially just finding out where they are and then trying to work them through lying, sitting, standing, walking, people can hopefully learn to use these muscles all day, every day, get stronger.
Wow. That's really a really interesting approach, because those 4 muscle groups, they're not things that we often hear about. If you're doing a bit of gym or whatever, you'll hear about biceps or triceps or glutes and whatever. But, these muscles that are attaching to the core. And how interesting that pelvic floor is really part of that, obviously so important for women especially.
Oh, hugely important. So when we engage the pelvic floor, which sits basically between the legs, it's the muscle that stops us spending a penny, stops us passing wind. When you pull that muscle up, it engages a muscle at the front of the pelvis called transverse abdominis, and little muscles up between the individual vertebrae at the back called multifidus. So it actually engages this whole corsetry effect around the lumbar spine.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that we can activate our internal corset. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I am squeezing as I'm sitting. Yeah. Whenever I hear the word pelvic floor, it's like automatic, isn't it? Oh, right, must squeeze.
Yes. So and then the program has some balance work and stretching as well, which is really important. I think as we all go through life, particularly get on through the decades where we do less and less balance work, and actually it's so important to keep up our balance.
Yeah. Now, when I came to see you, we obviously had a chat about COVID and all the rest of it, and you reminded me of this really simple breathing technique that they teach in hospitals to clear the bottom bit of the lungs. Can you explain a little bit about how this breathing technique will help people with COVID or recovering from COVID, or perhaps strengthen you so that if you do get it, you can make a fuller recovery?
Yes, absolutely. So the way our lungs are designed, as it were, the bigger airways go into little tiny airways and into little tiny air sacs called the alveoli. And although there's no evidence out there exactly what COVID is doing, when I had COVID back in March, I was then speaking to a doctor who then got it after me, and his assumption, because he was sitting there with oxygen saturations of about 90%, and we should have oxygen saturations of about 95% or 100, 95 to 100. And his assumption was that the alveoli are being closed down and shut down, and that's why people's oxygen saturations reduce. Now, if we can get a deep breath going, and if we can inflate the little alveoli, that little air sacs, then we can help oxygen exchange and obviously help to potentially stop secondary complications of pneumonia.
Right.
So and this is where a lot of people obviously end up in hospital because they have low saturations and they start to get secondary pneumonia, and these are some of the complications they're obviously seeing in hospital.
Yeah.
So the way the breathing technique works is, shall I show you what we do?
Yeah, please, but talk me through it. I'd love to do some more.
So the way the breathing works is, first of all, to take a big deep breath in through the nose. So just sitting calmly, breathing in through the nose, as big a breath as you can. So breathe in, and you then hold that breath for a couple of seconds because that's starting to get the air down to the bottom of the lungs. You then sniff to top up the airways and hold for 2 seconds, and then you let the air gently out of your mouth. Okay. So a couple of things are going on here. For one, we're taking the first deep breath to get air volume increase in the lungs. Secondly, we're taking the sniff, which tops up the breath, which increases the lung volume and really opens up the alveoli. And by holding the breath, increasing oxygen into the body and then letting the air go out gently.
That is good. So interesting. That extra sniff, when you breathe in and you think you've taken in a really big breath, and you take that extra sniff.
Yes.
What's that doing to our lungs?
So it is increasing air volume. So it's opening up the airways, increasing air volume. And the other thing to say about this technique, which is very interesting, just recently it's come onto my radar that a neuroscientist called Andrew Hubermans has been doing some research on what he calls the double inhale, single exhale. So 2 breaths in, 1 breath out.
Right.
And his research was looking at the effects of doing this breathing. And interestingly, the diaphragm normally, we don't think about breathing. It's normally an automatic process. As soon as we make it a process that we're taking control of, we are making the diaphragm actually work. And it activates what's called the phrenic nerve, which goes back to the brain.
The phrenic nerve?
The phrenic nerve, yes, is the one that makes us then use the diaphragm. And it goes back to the brain and says to the brain, calm down. The body's in control, the body's moving, calm down.
Really?
So, and if you think about a child crying, you know, if you sob and you
you're good.
like this, and apparently that's the natural reflex to get the body to calm down.
No, I have never heard that. Isn't that so fascinating? So you can kind of do a self-anxiety, calming, controlling exercise that's also strengthening your airways, increasing your oxygen capacity, all in one go. Is this something that we should just be doing every day, do you think, automatically?
Well, I mean, absolutely, COVID or not COVID, there's no doubt about it. It's a very easy and effective way to calm oneself down, as well as increase oxygenation of the lungs. But the excuse me, I think the key thing is one doesn't want to hyperventilate, so you become dizzy.
Right.
So my advice is that you do one of these sniffs, deep breath sniff, and breathe out, and then you have a gentle breath.
Okay.
Then you repeat the deep breath, sniff, breathe out. Good. And then just one more gentle breath. And then you repeat it for a third time. Breath in, hold, sniff, hold, and breathe out. So that is what I call one cycle.
One cycle of the 3 breaths. And how often would you do that?
So what I suggest at the moment is you do one of those cycles, then have a minute of normal breathing, and then another of those cycles.
Okay.
And then you might try and repeat that sort of every hour, especially if you're suffering from COVID.
If you're suffering, okay.
Because the biggest thing is not to go to bed and just lie down and do nothing, because we know that closes airways more. And so if you can do the deep breathing, keep yourself up and moving. It's really important.
So last night, I was in bed and I put my lovely cell return mask on, which is what I do last thing at night. And that has a 20-minute cycle. So what I try and do is while I'm wearing that, I try and focus on my breathing for 20 minutes. Sometimes I fall asleep, but, you know, I'm doing my breathing. And I was lying there and I was remembering to do the sniff. Would that be good to do lying down, or should I not really do that lying down?
You can do it lying down, but I think you'd get better efficacy if you were sitting up.
Okay.
In all honesty, because then the lungs are in a better position.
Right. Okay.
So there's nothing to say you can't do it.
Right, but I'll try in future to do it. I don't know. I mean, those sort of trigger points, perhaps when we're boiling the kettle, or I don't know, feeding the dog or whatever. You know, things that we do regularly a few times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, perhaps. Might be the time to go. Oh, actually, you know, while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to do my 3 cycles. And it's safe for kids and safe for elderly.
Yes. And interestingly, I had a message when we posted this on our Instagram. We had a message from somebody saying that their mother had polyps in their nose. Could she do it just with mouth breathing? And you know, although in theory it's more effective if we're doing it through our nose, there's no reason why you can't. So if somebody out there who really finds nasal breathing difficult, then yes, there's no reason why you can't do this. And we used to teach it a lot in the hospital to the elderly who had pneumonia. It was the way we really helped them. So anybody.
That is so fascinating. And do we have to breathe out through our mouths, or can we do it through our nose? Because sometimes I forget to breathe out through my mouth.
Yes. The thing about breathing out through the mouth is there's no resistance. You can just let the air fall out. Okay. So that we're not trying to. I mean, it wouldn't matter if you breathe out through your nose, but at the end of the day, if you've done this breathing in through the nose and then you just let the air fall out, then it's much easier to do that through the mouth. So that's the best way to do it.
Libby, it's so lovely to talk to you. But before you go, I want to ask you, because you mentioned about oxygen saturation. Yes. And there was something that you sent me, which I picked up on as well. There was a little thing online about the importance of oxygen monitors. And I was so pleased that you'd mentioned it, because these little gadgets, I've already got one. And I was wondering
Yes,
how
brilliant.
useful it is. So tell us what this is and why it might be useful to have one of these. They're not expensive. I'll pop a link up, by the way, if you want to get one. They're on Amazon
Yes.
or online.
Yeah, well, there was an interesting piece on the BBC last night, a doctor called Dr. Inada Kim, who was talking about these pulse oximeters.
Yeah.
And basically, as far as with regards to COVID, saying that they're seeing a lot of what they call silent hypoxia coming into hospital, excuse me, where people's oxygen saturations level, so the amount of oxygen you have in your blood, is really very low, and people were going in when it was critically low and therefore having to have more intervention. And his point was that if people are able to have one of these pulse oximeters at home, so if you have COVID, you can then monitor your oxygen levels. And if you go below 95%, they're saying you should call 111. And if it goes down to 92, I think it was, they're saying you should go into A&E. So they're really trying to get people to have an idea of what's happening with their oxygen saturation.
I'm 97. Mine is varying. I've just switched it on. I'm between 96 and 97. Yes. It's also measuring my pulse, which is quite handy. It's gone down to 95. Yes, oh dear. So they're quite.
Those are.
Go on.
So I was saying that within about 2 degrees.
Okay, so give or take 2 degrees. I mean, this is obviously it's a home gadget. I think it's about £20. I mean, it's not it's not probably a hospital standard, but it's a very good. Oh, it's gone up to 97. That's good. So I guess we could monitor then. At home. Yes, I mean, how very reassuring.
And I think yes, and I think with using that sort of machine and doing these sort of breathing exercises, then, at the moment, obviously, the NHS is in crisis and we've got to do anything we can help.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping. And on the videos, I talk about, obviously, keeping moving, keeping hydrated, looking at the NHS website for vitamin C and vitamin D, which you and I have obviously spoken about before, and then the breathing exercises, which are on it as well. But, really important. And then my big thing as well is that if you've had COVID or trying to recover from long COVID, then the rehabilitation takes time. And so using a program like Courefulness, do your walking very slowly, short periods of walking, 5 minutes of walking, just don't push it. Rehabilitate slowly because it does take time.
Really, really interesting. I love this. I mean, I get several different readings from this. It takes temperature as well. It seems to be really reliable. And it's a really reassuring check. But I hadn't realised, actually, I mean, it's been sitting in my drawer for a while, how fascinating that this was just literally on the BBC News last night. And what I really like about your advice, Libby, is it's very doable. And there's been some questions here about long COVID, and I'm going to come on in a minute after we finish to talk about that, because I've also got some interesting things going on with my Friday 5 today with a doctor I interviewed about long COVID. But there are simple things that we can do and that will help to keep us out of hospital or get us back on our feet more quickly. Just lastly, if we are doing these exercises, could we see a change in our oxygen meter reading, do you think? If it starts quite low, would you be expecting it to improve with the exercises?
Yes, that would be one's hope. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know how this ghastly disease really works, and at some point there's probably a tipping point. But there's no doubt about it that if you have COVID, even if you think you're okay because of this silent hypoxia, if you can keep yourself breathing, keep yourself moving, then you're going to hopefully minimise the way that it takes over the lungs, as it were.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very difficult time, and everyone's doing their very best. So
Absolutely.
I think if the fact they said try and get one of these pulse oximeters and use it and do breathing and everything else you can do to help yourself with the moving and hydration, then at least we'll,
that was the thing.
Even if we stop.
Yeah. That was the thing that really struck me when I listened to you the first time was, if you are feeling low and you're lying in bed, please get up every hour and move. You need to keep that respiratory system moving.
Yes.
And as you say,
Absolutely.
Lots of fluids, lots of water. If you've got a temperature, you're dehydrating, you're losing that through your body heat. So you just need, you're not even drinking extra, you're just putting back what your body needs to stay hydrated.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you,
So
Libby. We could chat forever.
Yeah.
Please come back and talk to us again, because everyone's loving the advice that you're giving. And Corefulness. So that's your website, corefulness.co.uk, is it?
.com.
.com. Woo, get you. Go global. Go girl.
So, yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much. And I do hope people find it helpful. So that's great.
I'm sure. Well, we'll be rushing off to have a look at your videos. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Oh, so interesting, isn't it? And so useful. Yeah, this little gadget. Oh, it's turned itself off now. Yeah, you can use it with nail varnish, by the way. I saw a question there, because you put your pad of your finger on it here, and it's taking it from this bit, not from your painted nail. But yeah, really, really handy thing. So there we go. So thank you very much to Libby. Just mentioned there about long COVID. Those of you who listen to my podcasts, there will be a new one coming out today, later on today, my Friday 5. And I was really fortunate to be able to speak directly to Dr. Tina Peers, who has a really interesting protocol on COVID and long COVID. And she writes on the types of nutrition that we need, how much vitamin C to take, how much vitamin D to take, interesting nutrients like quercetin, and the value of things like Epsom salt baths, and really fascinating. And she is an NHS trained hospital consultant who now has a private practice, particularly looking at menopause and histamine and HRT and all those things, but all very closely interlinked with COVID and hormones and everything. So for midlife women particularly, really, really important. So I hope that you enjoy that. If you haven't yet listened to any of my podcasts, and you're thinking maybe I ought to get around to it, then this would be a very good one to start with. So the combination, I think, of that, of the nutritional protocol and the breathing and the moving and the staying hydrated, is all going to be hopefully really helpful for us. Now, I mentioned earlier that I might try and patch in my lovely younger daughter, Brella, and there's a reason for that, actually. We talked on Wednesday about the nutrient core report from Life Code GX. So much chat about that already. And yeah, apologies, it wasn't working very well on Instagram, but hopefully you went over to YouTube, because the full broadcast is on YouTube. So if you want to have a look there. And it is so fascinating. And I mentioned that I had done this report and I had been so impressed with it and the effect that it was having on Lily with her health, and also the new supplements that I was taking. One of the reasons I think I feel so well at the moment, despite all this rubbish going on, is that I am, thanks to this report, I am taking the right vitamins for me. I'm taking more vitamin D than most people, because I know my body needs it, because it doesn't use it very well. I'm also taking something called glutathione, which my genes don't convert very well in the body naturally. So by taking it directly, I get the benefit of that. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why I spring out of bed in the morning feeling positive. So really interesting. And Brella also had a very interesting report. So it'd be quite interesting if she would be up for it, if she might chat about it. Let's see. So let's see if we can get Brella. Hopefully she is safe and well in her uni house, doing most of her uni work obviously online. But hello, darling.
Hello.
And you're wearing your hat. Oh, I'm sorry, Facebook, you can't see. I'm going to have to take a screenshot. So this vision has just appeared on my screen with her bright blue bucket hat and her purple hair underneath. How are you, my sweetheart? I haven't spoken to you for too many days.
I know. I'm good. I'm actually knackered. My course is really exhausting with everything being online and drama rehearsals online. It's
so hard, and it is tiring, isn't it? That staring at the screen the whole time, and often actually not moving. You have to remember to get up and move every hour, so that you don't just sit there and your body then freezes. What physical stuff are you doing, my sweet, or is it all in the brain at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I mean, I try and get out every day for a walk and see one of my friends, because the problem is, because I'm doing all my rehearsals online, I can't go to the library and work because I can't talk in the library. So it means that I I can literally spend all day just in my room doing my drama rehearsals. So I have to kind of schedule in. And if I go for a walk with somebody that I don't live with, then I can't not. I have to go. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
Getting out.
Okay. Really important, sweetheart. I know it's awful. A couple of days ago we had the most howling gale, driving rain here, and it would have been so easy just to crack open another bar of Fire Tree chocolate and stay inside. And I did actually take the dogs out with me, and I thought, right, let's go. And it was terrible weather, but I did actually feel better for it. So now one of the things that I thought we could chat about, and thank you for hopping on, is, are you happy to talk a little bit about your own nutritional assessment here, because it was just so interesting. Okay,
Definitely.
good. I just wanted to make sure that I had your permission before revealing personal data. I mean, nothing too crucial, but this, I think this one actually might be Lily's. So this particularly looking at vitamin D, because we're obviously told a lot about vitamin D, and with our immune system, it's really good for helping to support that. But there's a reason why it's also known as the sunshine vitamin, because vitamin D helps lift our mood. It's involved in the creation of dopamine and GABA and the happy chemicals in our brain that reduce anxiety and help us sleep. So for me, I was sort of amber coloured all the way. Lily, I think, was green and red. This is hers. And you were red, weren't you, all the way?
Yeah, with vitamin D, is that?
Vitamin D, yeah.
Yeah, my vitamin are completely blocked. Yeah, completely.
So
red.
you, all your life, since you were born, because these are genes that you're born with, until the day you die, your genes will block vitamin D. And there is no way that we would have known that without you doing this really simple little cheek swab test. So as soon as we discovered it, what did we do?
We went and bought loads of supplements and vitamins.
Yeah, we went. We've got very specific ones though, so we were able to save money on all the stuff that we didn't need, like things like vitamin C, which you process really well, and vitamin A, which you process really well. But looking at vitamin D, so most people would take maybe 1,000 international units of vitamin D. I take about 3,000 to 5,000 because my conversion's a bit low. But you need about 9 or 10, don't you, every day?
Yeah, I take about 10,000 every day.
And what difference has it made to you?
I mean, such a big difference. So I started taking quite a few all at the same time. So I also started with the glutathione and vitamin B, and also the St. John's wort, which was blocked or something to do with serotonin levels or something, which I started taking. But the vitamin D especially, I feel much calmer, much sort of more chilled, much happier, just much more awake, alive. I don't know, I really have noticed a big difference.
I'm so thrilled, my sweetheart. I mean, my heart goes out to so many people who have genetic issues which are yet undiscovered like this. And I think I mentioned this on my live on Wednesday, but I'll say it again for anybody who missed it. When we were talking to Emma Bezic about your results, if you remember, and we were going, oh my goodness, this is so terrible that you're blocking vitamin D, and let's get some more in you. And I as a mother, I feel so guilty that I passed on these genes, and that all these years we didn't know as a young teenager that a lot of anxiety and low mood was because you were not getting your vitamin D. And she said, don't be too hard on yourself, because I've just seen a lady in her late 60s who had exactly the same. She came up with red all the way through. She was blocking vitamin D. And all her life she'd suffered with anxiety, depression, and now obviously was having bone fractures and all the other things implicated. Because that's the other thing, you're going to get much stronger bones. I mean, it's not just mental, which obviously is important, mental health, but physical health as well. I just wish I'd been able to do it sooner for you, sweetheart. We would have saved a lot of...
Well, I think especially with things like mental health, it's very easy when you're feeling low or anxious and you don't really know why. It's kind of very easy to be thinking that it's your fault, or that you're not making yourself happy, or I don't know. But to know that actually it was because you were missing a genetic like you just genetically couldn't process the vitamins. And then to see like the results after starting taking the vitamins and just realizing actually it's got nothing to do with my like brain, it's just the way that I work. It's like, not actually my fault, you know. So it was really good.
How very interesting. And actually, because of, you know, issues with anxiety and low mood, etc., you're a bit of a mental health champion, aren't you, at your uni? And what's the work that you do there?
Well, I'm sort of, it's really difficult at the moment, but there's a society called Mind Your Head, which I'm with one of my housemates, joint publicity officer and event secretary.
Great,
so
well you just publicised it to a few 100,000 people, so that's good.
There we go.
So you can do a tick in the box for this week, honey. It's called Mind Your Head.
And it's Mind Your Head. It's really difficult at the moment because we can't really put on events, but we have a social media page called Mind Your Head, and we just try and kind of put on events for the university students. At the moment it's a lot of stuff on Zoom, and like we try and do collaborations with like Meditation Society and like Baking Society, but it's not quite the same at the moment. At the moment, like we're just kind of posting on Instagram and things, trying to keep people talking about mental health, because especially now with lockdown, I mean, every young person that I've spoken to pretty much is struggling. It's really sad. And I think it's so important to just lose the stigma around mental health, that it's just not something that you talk about, because everybody right now is struggling.
Absolutely.
Especially young people.
I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if this genetic test was available, you know, through all doctor surgeries? I'm not saying that everybody's going to get cured with high strength vitamin D, but there are certain nutrients that can help, and you just need to be specific about it. And interestingly, what I was really pleased about, because we managed to get a discount, because it is expensive, so we have got this discount with Liz Loves, and that includes 30 minutes follow-up with a consultant, with one of their therapists to talk you through it. Because you mentioned there St. John's wort, and that was one of the things that came up in your profile. And St. John's wort, which is Hypericum, it's the herb. It's got a clinical license in Germany for helping treat depression, and it's been shown when you go through the pathways of how it works, it helps support the creation of serotonin and our happy chemicals. So, you know, one of the things that came up for you personally was to take St. John's wort as a proper herbal helper. And do you find that is helping you?
Yeah, massively. So I take it every morning now, and because I think what did it do? It was something to do with how your serotonin is received or something. Basically, I just wasn't really producing serotonin or dopamine or sort of any of that. So since taking it, I feel so much better, so much positive, so much more positive.
Well, that's amazing, considering what you're up against at the moment. I mean,
exactly.
Nobody should be feeling positive at the moment, or or many of us aren't feeling positive. Not saying we shouldn't be, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. But you know, especially for you guys who have had virtually, everything cancelled, your lives on hold, your young lives, this key time. As I say to my girlfriends, actually, look, I'm in my 50s. I've lived a lot of life. And, I have a lovely house. I can do my work on Zoom. I can walk in my garden. It's not great, but it's not completely awful. But for you and for your generation and, for your brothers and sisters, it is so hard, because it's such a big part of your life. Your younger brother, he had his 10th birthday at the very beginning of lockdown last year, coming up to a year ago. And we said, look, don't worry, because you'll have the most amazing party next year. We'll make up for it. And he's about to have his second birthday in lockdown with nobody. And, this is really, really, really tough.
It's really hard.
And the fact that you, are feeling positive, and you've got some tools there within, within your kind of bio-nutrient armory, I don't know. I mean, I love that picture of your birthday cake, by the way. Oh my goodness, how good did that look?
It was so good. I tell you, I know
huge. I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram. It was like this size. It was bigger than your head.
It was bigger than my head. It was massive. And I know you wrote on your caption, like, it's going to last you the whole of lockdown. It didn't even last 24 hours. I'm not... We ate the whole thing within 24 hours. Amazing. And it was mainly me.
It was...
I'm quite proud of it.
Oh, my lovely girl. I could sit and talk to you all afternoon, but I guess I better hadn't. But it's so nice to catch up with you. And thank you for doing this. Hopefully we can do it again. I was actually reminded, I was at in my local little village shop yesterday, and they had, which I thought was amazing, they had a jar of rose petals, cooking rose petals. So guess what it thought I might make? It inspired me.
The granola,
of course. Rose petal granola. I thought maybe I'll do a batch at the weekend and send you some.
Good. Oh, yes. Send me another care package. I love the care packages.
I will send you care packages. How are you getting on? I sent you some, I think they were the pucker sachets of protein drinks or something. Are they nice or are they a bit...
Them.
You like them?
Okay, so the flavour is really nice. So you sent me vanilla ones, and I love vanilla. Vanilla's like, it's not boring, despite what people say. Vanilla is incredible. But so the flavour is really good. The only thing I would say is it's slightly chalky texture. Okay. So I add it to my smoothies and things, and it's a little bit chalky. And then when I add more liquid to try and like dissolve the chalk, then it just goes a bit watery. So the texture, you kind of have to get your head around a little bit, but the flavour is very good.
Well, I'll look out and I'll try and find some other bits and bobs and send them to you, and then you can do a tryout from your student quarters.
Yes.
And then we can chat again. Maybe we can do another live, and you can report back and tell me what you think.
I would love that.
You know, I know what I think about things, and I often do get my head around stuff because I know how good it is, and that kind of overrides any feelings of the texture's a bit weird or the taste's a bit, not so great. Everyone's sending you such lovely messages, Brella. I don't know if you can see.
I feel the love. Thank you, everybody.
I'm glad you feel the love, my sweetheart. So many hearts. Lovely, lovely to chat. And I'll try and catch you over the weekend.
Yes, definitely. We'll do that.
My sweetheart.
Okay.
Lots of love.
Love you.
Love you, darling. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Oh, my lovely girl. I'm sorry you can't see her on Facebook, but if you head to YouTube a bit later, if you don't have Instagram, or if you want to head to YouTube, then do please go there, or my Instagram will obviously have pictures of her. Well, that really is about all we had time for today. I have to say that nutritional genetic testing is so fascinating. I'm sorry it's so expensive. I wish I could find a way. We have managed to bring the price down by 15% with our friends at Life Code GX, which is brilliant. They say they've never actually discounted it this much before. I think it's about £399. Normally, I think it comes down to about £330. And they've also put in this half-hour consultation with a nutritional therapist to talk you through the results. It takes about 3 weeks, so it's not a quick thing, but it's so worth it. And once you've done it, that's it forever. Your genes will never change. So you can do it, as a small child, you can do it as an older adult. Absolutely fascinating. So there we go. What else can I say? I've just realised, because I keep tucking my hair behind my ears, that I'm wearing odd earrings. So I'm sorry about that, if anybody's spotted that. I think this one's my little mangrove heart. I've got a yellow gold and a rose gold. I've got one in each ear. That was not a deliberate design statement, but perhaps it should be. We've also got them in a silvery colour, which is the rhodium plate, and they are currently 30% off. And they come in a really pretty little box. So I just think with Valentine's Day and things coming up, your little hearts might be nice. Anyway, you'll find those on lizoljewellery.com. I think there is a code, by the way. Yeah, Mangrove, MANGROVE in capitals. Mangrove gets you 30% off. There we go. Those of you who've already got your InStep exercise gadget, spoke to Julie this morning. She is getting more in. So just keep checking back on her page. We are going to be doing a live Zoom class, 10 o'clock tomorrow. I know many hundred of you have already got yours. So I shall be there in my leggings, leaping about with you at 10 o'clock, all being well. So that was such a lot of fun last week. So I look forward to being back with you. And of course, I will be back with you live here on Monday. Couple of quick questions here just before I go. Just 2 questions, okay? Just because I do like to respond where I can live. And this is from JH on YouTube, who said, would the life code test help my son? He's 23 with chronic PTSD and anxiety. Well, I hope you've listened today about it helped my Brella with her anxiety. He has digestive issues, bad acne on his cheeks, so they're leaving slight scars. Any recommendation, Liz, for the scarring? Oh my goodness. Yeah, bakuchiol, that's an ingredient I talked about on this morning. That can help with scarring. Retinol, obviously, really good. Very expensive, but the cell return mask, LED mask, you know, you could get double duty. You could use it for aging skin, and then the blue light for acne, super helpful, and the pink light for scarring. I can't help feeling all his issues are related. Oh, he is vegan. Right, okay. Okay, so really important that you get some testing done here. Because he'll be excluding all kinds of nutritional food groups, which he may or may not be replacing with supplements, which may or may not being absorbed. So things like iodine, choline, heme iron, retinol. And one of the reasons why I can't be vegan, for example, came up in my report. Not that I ever have been a vegan, but I don't process retinol. I don't convert the beta carotene to retinol, and that is quite a common genetic abnormality apparently. So you need to be able to convert your beta carotene. If you're not eating meat and dairy, you're not getting retinol, and if you're not getting retinol, you need to rely on your beta carotene conversion to retinol, and that may or may not be happening depending on your genetic markers. So it's a really fascinating subject. So do seriously look into that if you're excluding food groups, or you've got members of your family who are excluding major food groups. Okay, one more question. All right, Victoria. Okay, so one more and then one more after this. How does your body absorb supplements if your body naturally blocks it? Okay, so what we're talking about here is the natural conversion. Okay, so Brella doesn't have the genes that utilize vitamin D efficiently. She can, if she puts more into her system, she can use a little bit of that. So say we need 1,000 international units of vitamin D to feel normal and well. That's for normal people. The average, for example. No such thing as normal, but, you know, the average. She needs 10,000. She needs to overload her system with vitamin D just to get that little bit that goes through. Okay, so for me with glutathione, normally we make glutathione from things like vitamin C, so we can make our own. I don't have the process that makes it. I can use it if my body has it, so I have to take it as a supplement. If I want glutathione, I have to take it because my body can't make it because it doesn't have the genes. So I hope that explains it. I'm not a nutritional expert in nutrigenomics. But hopefully that has explained it. And I know Emma Bezic, who's the founder, she was very active on Facebook and Instagram when I was trying to talk to her and do my live on Wednesday. And she's really hot on answering questions on her social media. So I really hope that that helps. Last question from Sam on Facebook. Hi, Sam. You say, do you still use Life Armour drops? Have ordered the Balance ones? Yes, I do. And I send them to Brella. In fact, I've just sent her some. So I use 2 particular, my favourites from Life Armour. I use the Balance ones, which contain the ashwagandha adaptogenic herbs, which I've talked about before, specifically for stress and anxiety. And I just take those throughout the day. I just find that helps just take the edge off things. And then I always, without fail, have the slumber drops. They are on my bedside table. I have them absolutely every single night. I take my slumber drops. My routine is really simple. I clean my face, put lavender drops on my pillow, take my slumber drops under my tongue, put my LED face mask on, lie there, try and do some breathing. I've got my LBB balm, which I love, which I use particularly. I'm getting dry skin just around my chin, so I think that's probably wearing masks, isn't it? So I use her LBB balm at night, and then I also rub it all around my fingers and cuticles. And I lie there under my mask, kind of massaging my fingernails, breathing in the lavender, and Anyway, just drifting off to sleep. So anyway, enough about me. I hope that you are all going to have a safe and happy weekend. Don't forget a couple of bits of homework. If you fancy it, sign up for the Earle Wellbeing newsletter. It's a really good one. Okay, I really want you to be able to get it today. There's lots of links to a lot of the good things that we've talked about today. So hopefully you'll be able to get that in real time. Sign up for it if you haven't already. As I say, it's completely free. Promise not to spam you. It's simply a resource. That's all it is. It's just a free resource for my community. And if you don't like it, you can just unsubscribe. Podcast coming out a bit later on. It's the Friday 5 with Dr. Tina Pearce. Fascinating stuff. More about nutrients, so lots of good things. Don't forget, if you want your microbes, talked about that earlier, I'm going to also be investigating their Probiotic multi-surface cleaner, which it's got a little ball bearing in here because you mix it together with a sachet of stuff, Probiotic surface cleanser, mixed with water in here. How interesting. Never seen anything like that before. So anyway, I'm going to be giving that a go this weekend. Hope everybody has a lovely, happy weekend. And maybe see you on the Zoom class tomorrow if you've got your instep. Otherwise, I'll see you back here, same time, same place on Monday. Stay well and healthy and happy. Lots of love. Bye.